You may have a CV already. It's likely that you will have one at this point. It is essential. Everyone should have a CV. Even when you're working, you should keep your CV up to date and accessible. A CV is personal to you, but there are a few golden rules that you should follow. We've put together our top tips to remember.
Make your CV fit the opportunity you are applying for. A candidate who has taken the time to read about the vacancy and research the company will stand out. You need to highlight the right skills every time you send out your CV. Don't just have the same CV that you send out time and time again to all of the different opportunities you are interested in. Once you have a basic CV in place, it will make the task of tailoring it so much easier. You aren't starting from scratch every time, but you need to ensure that every time your CV goes out, it's directly relevant to the specific role. A really nice way to do this is by focusing on one significant section of the CV, the personal profile.
The personal profile. A short opening statement, paragraph or two, telling the employer how your experience relates to their job. This is the first section of your CV and will set the tone. Make yourself relevant, stand out from other candidates and highlight your strengths. Focus on your soft skills. You don't need to summarise what's in the main body of your CV. This part needs to be personal to you. What are you especially good at? Are you an amazing communicator? Do you have the ability to self-motivate? But make sure you don't just list good qualities. You should be able to back up your claims with evidence and examples. The employer will ask you about what you've written, so make sure it's truthful and represents you honestly.
Think of this as a mini advert for yourself. If you are saying that you're always willing to take on extra responsibility, can you think of a time when this has happened? An employer wants to know that you aren't just all talk, you can walk the walk too. Be prepared to speak in more detail around the information you have put in this section. When looking at some statistics, I found that on average an employer will spend less than 10 seconds looking at a CV, so make sure you hook them in straight away by creating an excellent introduction.
Make it look good. No spelling mistakes or grammatical errors. Always have another person look over your CV. A fresh pair of eyes are more likely to spot anything not quite right. Use spell check at the very minimum as part of your quality checking process. Is the layout nice? Are the different sections on your CV clearly defined and nicely spaced out? Is the font easy to read?
Keep it the right length, no longer than 2 pages. Keep your CV to the point. Lots of detail is not expected. The meat on the bones of your CV will come out during the interview, and you will be able to elaborate on what you have written. You are providing a snapshot of yourself, albeit an accurate and relevant one.
A cover letter is something that's often ignored, but it is actually your CV's best friend. This one-page document should be addressed to the interviewer or potential employer. It needs to include your contact details, the role you're applying for. You need to highlight your interest in the role and clearly link your skills and experience to the job. You're not expected to regurgitate the contents of your CV. Your cover letter needs to be specific to each application. Maybe you could include why you want to work for the company. Some employers have said that not including a cover letter can be seen as a sign of laziness. You could be writing a cover letter to accompany your CV for a specific job, but you could also be writing one for more of a speculative approach, where you're inquiring about positions available, or maybe even asking for work experience. They are really important. It will help if you take the time to create one. Once you've done one, it will become second nature, that they're part of your application process.
The application form. An employer could ask you to complete an application form instead of sending your CV. It is a method commonly used by employers to standardise the application process to enable them to select applicants to interview on a fair and equal basis. It requires just as much thought and careful consideration on your part.
Complete all of the application. Don't leave any section blank. The employer wants you to complete the whole thing for a reason. Leaving sections incomplete is not acceptable, and it will look unprofessional and uncommitted. We have first-hand experience of people we have worked with being rejected from shortlisting because they failed to complete a section on the application. If there is a question that does not apply to you, write NA or not applicable in the appropriate box. It shows attention to detail and that you've carefully considered the whole application.
Don't dive straight in. Have a good read of the form first so you know what needs to be included and where. If you're completing a form online, you should check that you are able to save your progress and go back to it later. However, some forms may need to be completed in one sitting. In this case, you must ensure you have all of the information to hand. This could include details of your references, national insurance number, etc.
Check the closing date. If possible, get your application submitted early. You may get more attention. Often employers are overwhelmed by last-minute applications.
Additional information. This section is important. It's a chance to add all the interesting bits and pieces of information about yourself. Reflect on the job description and make sure that you have met all of the essential or desirable criteria. Use this section to really focus on your strengths and let the employer know that you are a perfect fit for the position. If the rest of the application has not enabled you to mention something that you think is a real positive attribute of yours, this is the section to make sure you mention it.
You may be required to complete online tests as part of the application process. If this is the case, make sure you've practiced beforehand to give yourself the best shot at success.
The Skills Health Check assessments on the National Careers Service website are a handy tool to help gain some more knowledge about yourself. If you're ever stuck with what to put on your personal profile, have a go at one of these and you will soon generate some ideas. You could also have a go at the Buzz Quiz.
Follow these tips and have a go at creating a CV and a covering letter. But remember, don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it.